Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is the Rudy Giuliani Show on LindellTV. I should begin by telling you today is a historic day. Today is the shortest day of the year. It is also possibly, I think that's what it said, the shortest day in history. Now, you're going to say to me, as those people I told this to this morning, you're crazy. We just had the longest day of the year. Was it June 21st? The beginning of summer, the end of spring, the beginning of summer. I think today it'll be a day of over 16 hours of sunshine, theoretical sunshine. You know, it goes down by 7 minutes tomorrow of sunshine. So it's going to be a long day of sunshine. But I'm talking about the 24-hour day. It's going to be off by I don't even know how to describe it. Millimeter. It's going to happen a couple of times. It's going to happen again in late July, going into August, a little bit shaved off. And that's all going to be squared up with a 1 second reset about 3 years from now. So you better, I don't know, you better get your stuff done quickly because you're going to lose a millisecond of a second of a second. The president didn't seem worried about it today. He was carrying on business as if things were normal. But I thought you might not be interested in that. Of course, we're still feeling the results of the terrible tragedy in Texas, in the plain states of Texas. I mean, the plain area of Texas. And I cannot tell you if that is today or that's an earlier picture. I'm hoping it's an earlier picture. But that'll and it's running a little fast, it seems to me. So we're not. There you go. That's probably a more accurate view of how the Guadalupe River is flowing. You can see it's still way beyond its boundaries, much wider. Those trees are some of them deeply submerged, and you can see a lot of debris and pine, and it's just I guess it's coming to terms with the world we've always had, right? And we probably more than our forebears have this sense that we have great control over it. We get weather forecasts. We find out if we should take out an umbrella, or maybe this isn't a good day to go out, or this is a good day to go out, or what kind of sunscreen should we use, and all these things. And of course, those honestly are minor in the big scheme of things. That world you see there, all the components of it, bigger than you are. And maybe there are a group of people who believe, religious or otherwise, that every once in a while it has to assert itself and tell you that it is. Well, sure, it sure did, boy. I would say on the morning of July the 4th, at approximately 4 o'clock, when the massive flash flood occurred in front of Camp Mystic on that river, maybe the largest flood the Guadalupe River has ever had, something was asserting itself. Nature, God, to remind us who's in control. And we can do, and maybe that we can do better. I know there's an awful lot of Monday morning quarterbacking now. Given the nature of the severity of this natural disaster, I would say that it has to be taken somewhat carefully. What I'm saying is, if all of the things that all of us who get to comment on it but didn't have to live through it can now think about as to what should have been done, were done, I'm still not sure that nature or God's nature, would not have had the same result. So they have a very, what appears at first glance to be a very meaningful comparison. A few miles, 22 miles to be exact, downriver from Camp Mystic is another camp, and it's in, I guess it's in Compton, Texas. Remember, the Hill Country comprises 18 counties, roughly between Austin and San Antonio in Texas. And it's Hill Country because it's made up of mountainous regions, narrow trails, and then very steep turns, sometimes into mountain caverns, and then its topography, because it was once an escarpment during prehistoric era, is made up of soil on top, and then a very, very massive kind of rock, hard rock, below it, right below it. Now, that rock exists almost everywhere. The real question is, how far down into the earth? In New York City, and I'm estimating because I've seen it, and I should have looked up the exact number. But in New York City, it's really there, and it comes to a promontory sort of in the middle of New York City. But it's still a good 10, 20 feet below the ground, which means you have a lot of soil to work with for anything, for building foundations and starting them off, and then you have to blast into the hard rock, which makes the building even more secure. You have plenty of room for absorption of water, which is the problem here. This is like raining on a cement outdoor basketball court. It's just going to run off. And when it becomes that much, it runs off, and then it does tremendous catastrophic damage. This has been true of this area of Texas from time immemorial. It's produced more deaths by flood most years in America. So this was well known. For at least a decade or more, there's been a debate in Kerr County, which contains Camp Mystic, that lost all those beautiful children, and in the counties surrounding it, about putting in an alarm system that will work independent of radios, shortwave communication, internet communication, that'll just blast off and have several signals that will tell you when you have to evacuate. And some counties purchased it, some didn't. The sheriff, or a prior sheriff, I don't recall, in 2016 brought it to a vote of this county legislators, and they didn't want to spend the $1 or $2 million for it because it would have been difficult for the budget. Now, you say in retrospect, one would say, well, they should have just spent it. Of course they should have spent it. But I mean, also, there probably are 50 other things that they have to spend money on. This has been going on for 100 years or more, this camp, and this has never happened. So that might create a counter argument. Now, honestly, it might not be the right one, but it isn't as if this were done maliciously or. Then they applied to the state for funding, and the state turned them down. And it's come up, but without the same force since then. Just last year, Compton County, which is the county next to it, applied for that money and got it. And it built a new alarm system. The Comfort Fire Department built it and was very, very proud of it. This is a 2,300 resident community, which has which had lost in 1987 10 young campers at the Pot of Gold Christian Camp when the Guadalupe River overflowed in 1987. So having that a communal experience was probably quite telling for them. And they completed, believe it or not, the alarm system in March, just in March. The alarm system worked, and Comfort, Texas, although flooded, was spared any deaths. The alarm system worked. It worked to give the 2,300 or so residents a chance to evacuate or go to higher ground, and they averted a disaster. So that says, well, of course they should have put it in. Look what happened in Comfort. And the answer is, I do believe they should have put it in. But I don't think it's one of these, oh my God, like in California where they didn't have water in the fire hydrants. I mean, that's just completely moronic. What are they there for? Decoration? And I happen to know something about that because I'd have to keep a lot more fire hydrants full than anybody can count when I was mayor of New York. And my fire department was obsessive compulsive about it because my fire department didn't want to show up at the fire. And like Michael Corleone, they didn't want to come out of the bathroom in order to kill the captain and Sollozzo and not have a gun, but only have in their hands. So they checked it out for water. They didn't. That's pretty serious. This, in retrospect, it's obvious. At the time, it's obvious to some and not to others. So they put the system in Comfort, no fatalities. They didn't put the system in Kerr, and we had a tragedy at Camp. Pardon me? What did you say, Ted?
Camp Mystic.
Oh, yeah, right, Mystic Camp, Camp Mystic. And it turned out, I guess the numbers are still, tell me if these changed, they're about an hour old. Numbers are 119 now dead.
That's right.
173 of them were in the county that we're talking about that didn't have the alarm system. Out of 119 dead. No, 173 are missing, I'm sorry. And 119 are dead. I don't know the number that are made up of Kerr County residents who died, but they're pretty close to a majority. And of course, the children, it was all those young children who were in the cottages on the low ground. And to me, that appears to be the bigger mistake. If you'll permit me one second guess, it would be that those children should not have been as close to the river as they were, on low ground, when they built a dormitory on high ground for the senior students. I mean, it seems it's wrong on two respects. If there only was one place you could build a dormitory You couldn't build two on high ground. I doubt that. I'd have to look at it. I can't believe it. I look at the topography. I see plenty of room behind the senior dormitory. But maybe it's not buildable. I don't know. Then you should have reversed it, shouldn't you? You should have put the more senior and experienced campers closer to the hazard, and the youngsters who are there for the first time, and some of the counselors for the youngsters were there for the first, you'd put them in the other where nobody was hurt because it was high ground. I mean, the river can only go so high, and it went as high as it ever did. So we have to be aware of the fact that the high ground is going to help. Let's see if we can show this to you here. We'll give it a try. So if you can see this, Ted, if we could put this on, we're going to see if we can show them the situation here. So that's the camp, and there's the Guadalupe River. As you see, it's churning, right? And it's headed, you're looking at it, and from left to right, it's heading east to west, somewhat south. So say southwest. Where you see the 225 feet, that is, as you can now see more clearly, the junior cabins. That's only 225 feet from the water, which is perilously close, of course, 225 feet from the water. And although the map isn't really a topography map, but you can just see it's kind of flat with the water, right? It's at water level, or I don't know, just a little above, right? It's not going to take much for the water to come over here. And if it's 20 feet of water, it's like being in the ocean very quickly. And the cabins were right here, right there. Very short distance from the water, and the cresting took place right there. Now, damage was also done to the dining hall. The cabins were completely obliterated. So even further in over here might have been a little safer, because the dining hall was hollowed out, but it wasn't brought to the ground, nor was the rec hall. And I don't know what happened to the office, but you see, the office is even further back. So immediately, I mean, if I were doing the design for this place, I'd be thinking, why not move the dining hall, the rec hall, and the office to that area where they only use it during the day and they only use it sporadically, and you can evacuate it very, very easily. And if you have to give it up, you can probably give it up without any people in it. And then put the residential areas here, further back, a little more protected, a couple of trees in the way. Now, the senior facility, Senior Hill, you see, is up here. Now, that's 600 feet back, but that's not the significance of it. Where you see the greenery, that's a hill. So it's elevated. I don't know how much, but elevated enough so that not much damage was done to those facilities. So here's the senior facility. Here's the junior facility. It would seem to me that that junior facility could have been put here. And I really do hope when they redesign it, if they're going to redesign it in this spot, because the spot is a perilous spot. But then again, you know, it has faced the worst that it's ever faced in its history. And I think you could say rather definitively, if the young children were located where the senior children were, I don't think any of them would have died. because I don't see reports of any of the children up in the senior facilities that died. And as we move along the river and we look for other casualties, the people who were in high ground pretty much made it. So when they rethink this, I wouldn't get as completely tied up in the siren situation. I'd get tied up in the where to put it safely, because sirens are hit and miss. People hear them, people don't hear them. People know what they mean, people forget what they mean. The best thing is to have safe alternatives. Second big question, I'm not going to ask it. The government should, and therefore straighten it out. How much planning did they do? How many fire drills did they do? How many practice situations did they do? From the day that I became mayor, because my city was attacked in January of 1993 by Muslim Islamic terrorists, I made sure that we practiced all the time. And then I began a new office, the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management, which has now become a staple for many places that have borrowed it. And they were obsessive compulsive about holding such drills and what we call table exercises. Sometimes you do them in the street. Sometimes you sit around a big table, the people who are the decision makers, and you say, if this happens, if they take the mayor and they're holding him hostage, who takes over? What do we do? Et cetera. If the power goes off completely, what's the first thing we do? The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. When you have kids like this, I'm talking about training people that are PhDs and former heads of corporations and heroes in the military and in the police department. We're talking about 8-year-old kids. They need to know in an emergency. You remember it if you've ever done fire drills. They need to go back to a time that wasn't chaotic, where if it isn't muscle memory, it's at least close to it. So let's hope these are the things learned from it as they go through the silliness of, I think we disposed of blaming it on Donald Trump. I guess now they're blaming it on Ted Cruz because he didn't come back fast enough. Well, I don't know if Ted Cruz should have or should not have come back fast enough. Everybody makes their own choice here. It was my choice as mayor to be away as little as possible and to come back the moment I had to. I'm not very tolerant about public officials that aren't there. That's when they need you, not when you're running for office. Now, a senator is a little different. I mean, I was very nice that I had the senators there with me, and they were very good at getting me money and support, but they were not part of the emergency program. Now, I'm not gonna get nasty, but sometimes they get in the way. I mean, they're not exactly in charge of the fire department, the police department, the emergency rescue. They don't know how to give CPR. They can't pull people out of big holes, right? They're not masterful swimmers. What can I use them for? Talk to them. What I can use them for is money. If they want to show up and see it, that's great. I think it gives people morale. But I would not get too invested in whether Ted Cruz was there or not. I get really invested. It was the federal government there right away, and they were. I think you learned something else about this, and it was reflected in what Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said. You have to let the locals run this. The federal government cannot come in and take over. And if the locals can't run it, all you can do as the federal government is play backup and hope and pray. On September 11, George Bush at 2:00 in the afternoon called me and George Pataki, and he said, "You're in charge of FEMA. FEMA's not in charge of you." And I told the boss that. And from then on, for 70 straight days, FEMA worked for us. It was as if they were part of New York City, and it was seamless. That's what happens in a good operation. Of course, we know more about New York City and New York State than the people from FEMA. They may or may not. And that's what's happening now. You can see this is being run by Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Patrick, as it should be. And it's running very, very well. And that's the answer. I know the idea is to try to grab the president for political reasons, whether it's Biden or a good president has worked out a relationship so that FEMA will sublimate itself to a very, very good emergency program in that state. And I always felt the role FEMA should play is to make sure that every state is up to standard, because they're not. Every state does not have an emergency rescue operation like Texas. Some have very good ones. Florida happens to be one that has one of the very best. And some have disaster, like we saw in New Orleans. And we saw in there, you had a governor and a mayor that didn't talk to each other. During the pandemic in New York, Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio hate each other. And all they did is do things opposite each other. They're just the opposite of what you're seeing there, and just the opposite of Pataki and I. So there's a lot we can learn from this. There may be more bad weather. I don't know why they keep saying that. All they do is frighten everybody, but I think this time the emergency system will work. The emergency system will work well. I think we don't have to take you through where this took place. I think you know now where it took place on the Guadalupe River, and the area of Texas we're talking about. It's a very interesting area of Texas. It's beautiful and it's dangerous. There are so many camps there, I can't even count them. And of course, it was just a horrible thing that this one camp was picked on, I guess. I don't think there are any updates. They have not discovered. They had 3 children missing. 4, 2 campers and 2 counselors. I don't think they recovered them yet. I believe they will. If you're looking at the recovery effort, it looks like it is very, very professional. Really, really good, by the way. Now, in the middle of all this, there was a flood in Ruidoso, New Mexico, that although it didn't last as long and it didn't spread out over as big an area of land, and it will not have taken as many lives. I think so far, so far is it 3, 2 children and an adult, but it could be more. But I think we're looking at it right now. Now that, I mean, in a way, that looks worse. And when you see the rest of this in the area in which it took place, it looks biblical. I mean, look at the river. The river of those look like parts of trees, like logs and broken off branches, but thousands of them, making the river even more hazardous. And I would imagine, I don't know that river, but I imagine it's at about triple the width. And I don't see how you could sustain not being killed if you were in that. But that happened yesterday in Ruidoso, New Mexico. So let's take a look. Let's take a look for a minute at what we're talking about, okay?
Oh, there comes the house.
Oh my gosh, y'all look.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Play that again, Ted. I think.
Oh my gosh, y'all look.
Oh no. Oh no.
How?
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude.
Oh.
Oh my god.
The other side of that one right there.
Uh-huh.
Now, do you have the one, Ted, that we saw last night, where the river ran into the middle of the town and reached the height of maybe the second or third story of a building?
Right. We have another clip. Let's play the other clip we have. We can play that one at 8. I don't know if we have it queued up for.
You don't know if we have it, because to me, that was one of the most extraordinary flood clips that I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that before. You notice how different the level is, Ted? I mean, here, this is very fast, but the level of the water seems quite a bit lower than we were just watching. Although extremely perilous, because you get caught in that, you're just going to get taken away. Look how fast it's running. And I think that's normal speed camera. And notice how the houses that are far enough away, those houses will be completely unaffected, Ted, except for loss of electricity. See that house back there? To me, whenever we had these, even hurricanes, that I would go and I would be amazing. One house would be totally destroyed, 3 people dead, and the one across the street, everybody's fine. You wouldn't even know, a day later, everything's normal for them, except in the neighborhood and the pain and the suffering. We don't have the one with the big building, huh?
We'll get it in a second. Yeah.
No, if you can get it, I don't want to, So in this particular situation, they report, although we don't have many details, that all the warning systems worked. There was an evacuation of all critical places, according to the Governor Grisham. She had signed an emergency declaration. She requested federal teams. She has gotten them. And the Rio Ruidoso, which is a river in Lincoln County, it rose up to 20 feet, 5 feet higher than the previous record for the state. So 20 feet is catastrophic, right? It's going to drown you. And in some cases, that change, from about 3 or 4 feet to 20 feet took place in a half hour. So, a half hour earlier, it's at 2 feet, and 28 minutes later, it's at 20 feet. So you better not be looking at it, right? And you better be warned to get the hell out of there. Well, they got their warnings early, and there was significant evacuation and movement to high ground. They were very pleased with the National Weather Service warnings. They were all on time and appropriately serious. And the warnings that have emerged as a point of contention in Texas have not, even though, again, this was a smaller situation, and that may account for it, and maybe a more predictable one. We don't know that.
Get up, get down.
Watch this. This may be it. I'm just completely overwhelmed by the speed. There it is.
No.
See that?
Oh my god.
Right in the town. Right through the town.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Did you see that, Ted?
Yeah.
Right, now, didn't that look like a Texas book depository?
It did remind me, yeah. Same style, Southwest. That's the same style. Not the same thing. That's funny.
Well, I guess the only thing we can say about this is we're looking at something that caused. Can you check, Stephen? Welcome back, Stephen.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Happy to be back and joining y'all.
So could we take a look and see if there's any changes in that? Ridiosa is in the Sierra Blanco Mountains. So let's show people where these two places are relative to each other in this great United States as part of our geography course. I'm thinking that we may give credits if we can get a university to help us with a geography course, because we use geography so much. You should be able to get 2 credits for geography if you listen to us for 6 months. I wonder if you can do that. And then I promise to do a geography lesson at least, twice a week.
Yeah, we should. We'll work with
And this week we pick up about
Palm Beach Atlantic. We got a couple schools in the area.
Now, if you look at the United States, there you see the southern United States, which, as you know, borders Mexico, right? Now let's focus in a little bit further on what we're talking about. We're talking about, let me mark this down right here. So you see the entry point. The entry point would be about right there. Okay, so let's see if I can get this better.
Well, this is unfortunate. We're having reports that there are 3 dead, including 2 children of a Fort Bliss soldier in the New Mexico fire.
What is that? The original 3? Original 2?
I believe that the 2 children of the soldier are part of the
original?
The original total.
From the original story, it was 2 children dead. One was 8 and the other was younger, and then an adult.
Yes.
Well, let's go back to the map. So the Guadalupe River enters about right there, maybe even a little further south, and the hill country is in here.
Look at my jacket.
So it goes through here. The other,
A little up.
a little further up.
I would say to the east of San Antonio, almost where the Texas.
What?
The S in Texas is about where you are.
No, up a little.
Where the word Texas is, right? Yeah. There you go. You had it, Mayor.
Oh, I think I see the inlet right
Yeah,
here.
you kind of see where.
Maybe you want to zoom in.
Maybe zoom in a little. There you go.
Well, that's a little bit off because it became a straight line.
Yeah, you got
It'd
it.
be more like that.
Yep.
And then it goes off into 2.
Yeah.
But that's where we're talking about there. Now, the other we're talking about here. That's where the Ruidoso is, in that area. So let's see if we can make it a little bigger. Right here. And you see New Mexico? And it would be...
It's right in that center green area right there, right?
Where it says Alamogordo, Alamogordo, however it's in that area, right?
Yes, sir.
Remember the famous
Beautiful.
Roswell, New Mexico?
Beautiful country.
Roswell? Weren't there reports of unidentified flying objects in Roswell or landing there or something?
Certainly. I don't think we can miss those.
So they are spread apart by a bit, but they are in the same region of the United States. And they are due to the fact that there's a tremendous amount of rain that is going on, and there's going to be more.
And I will say, though, in my travels throughout that region, I've seen it at drought, I've seen it at high water, and man, does it fluctuate. I'll tell you what.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we'll take a look at are we getting anywhere? Are we getting anywhere in Israel? And what's happening in New York? We'll be right back. Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's That's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast, straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com, Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Airwater Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com. The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with you on the Rudy Giuliani Show on LindellTV. Well, the president spent 2 very, very important days with what appears to be our very best ally and a heck of a partner. I mean, if you're in a fight, if you were doing the old tag team wrestling, who'd you rather have with you than Israel? Boy, they just leveled Iran and left a nice, clean little approach for us without any challenge from below, because the challenges from below were eliminated by the Israeli Air Force. Thank you. That's an ally. In any event, there's no doubt they both want peace. The president seems like he has proven that his heart is in the direction of seeing as little killing as possible, and he's going to measure his success as a president. And you can't do that in one day, but he's going to measure his success as president as to how effective he is in taking a world that was given to him in turmoil and death, and seeing if he can reduce that. Now, remember, he didn't leave a nation like that or a world like that. And you can tell his frustration at it because, and I would be too, when he left the presidency, what was going on in the Middle East was on its road to a possible Abraham Accord between Israel and Saudi Arabia. When he left office, there were no question that Putin hadn't invaded for 4 or 5 years. Putin invades under only weaklings. Hence, please take a look at the record. Putin has invaded 3 times under the last 4 American presidents. The last one, of course, was the worst one, and it was under Biden, if you can call him a president. Certainly a weakling and an appeaser. He did the same thing under Obama when Obama proved to be a weakling and an appeaser by telling Assad any number of times, if you use chemical weapons in Syria against our allies and where our troops are there, that's a red line and we're going to take you out. Well, I don't know. He did it 12 times and he was still sitting there. And Russia came in to try to fix it, and Russia took over Syria, and Iran did. And Obama, in addition to giving Iran billions of dollars in cash, also gave them Syria. And then, of course, we had the attack under the last Republican, George Bush. Now, Russia attacked Georgia. Didn't care very much that George Bush was in the White House. For 4 years, they didn't attack. There's just one president under which they didn't attack, and that was Trump. But it's different preventing them from an attack to dislodge them when you don't want to go to war. Because going to war could be a nuclear war. It becomes a very difficult situation. And then the Israel-Hamas thing, which blossomed into the Israel-Iran thing, which is what it always was, really. Hamas was just a cover. Those are things he inherited. And it's a hell of an achievement that he's gotten them at least into a talking phase, even though war in some measure is still going on. He was able to shorten the war with Iran to what promised to possibly be the beginning of a world war. He was able to shorten. He has had some success in slowing down the Hamas thing, but not ending it. And there's been no success really in Ukraine, except to bring Ukraine along and have them ready. But Putin is far, far away from it. Now, the problem in the Middle East is that I do not know, nor can I speculate, how they're going to solve it. Somebody has to give in. This is not one of these things where they can both get what they want. And that's true with regard to Hamas and Israel, and that's true with regard to the United States and Iran. So, and they're saying it, right? Netanyahu is clear as hell. Netanyahu, from the beginning, after they came in and brutally and barbarically attacked innocent people on purpose with a plan to attack only innocent people and not even soldiers, after they raped women, killed kids, raped kids, and took hostages and acted like barbarians that should be scorned by the world, rather than having idiot Americans, traitors and otherwise, parading for them. He said, this is going to be over when they're gone. And he didn't say that because he's a barbarian. He said that because he's a protector of his people. The Palestinians are trained to kill Jews and Americans. The Palestinians, in case you miss it, will yell anytime you want, death to America, death to Israel. And if you take a poll, 90% of Palestine supports what Hamas did. Are they all Hamas? No. Do they all hate Jews and want them killed? The answer there is almost yes, but still no. They're the group, but small. Do not fool yourself in thinking that that's a large group, because you would be fooling yourself. Hamas says we will not make peace unless we have a place in the Gaza government, and we are not going to recognize the existence of the state of Israel as a Jewish state. Well, that's the whole reason for Israel. That's like saying you want to take over Canada, but you don't want to recognize the existence of the United States. I don't think we'd let you take over Canada, because we would not want to risk you're trying to annihilate us, huh? And particularly if we were a little sensitive on the subject, being the Jewish people, who over the centuries, there have been any number of attempts to annihilate him. So I don't know how you solve that. Either Israel has to tolerate Hamas being in some way a part of the government of Gaza, and the U.S. has to tolerate it, or Hamas has to be willing to disappear. What's in the cards that says that Hamas is going to disappear? And what's in the cards that says that Bibi is going to allow him to stay? Bibi is also insisting that Israel be part of the security force in Gaza. Now, you understand why he's doing that? Because he can't really trust anybody else. Would you trust anyone else to protect your people? I wouldn't. And I don't think America intends to be part of the security force. So I'm not going to leave it to the Egyptians to control a group of people that are trained from 2 years old to annihilate my people. I'm going to want to be there until that changes. You see, the whole problem here is something I told you ad nauseum. Way back when they started all of this crap with a two-state solution and whatever, the fallacy of it, the built-in poison pill was you cannot develop a second state next to a state that the new state wants to annihilate. So if we didn't have a state next to us here in New Hampshire, and they wanted to set up Vermont, and Vermont's raison d'etre was to destroy New Hampshire, we'd fight to the death to stop them from creating Vermont, unless we'd like to give away the lives of all of our people. And if we were the Jewish people, we would know that that wasn't a myth, that wasn't a joke. And if we knew that it came from Muslims, we would know it's part of their religion. So I don't know, go do demonstrations if you want, but you can go back and read it. It's only, written in 600, printed in 700. Muhammad, the final version of Muhammad, preached, if necessary, the annihilation of the Jewish people. They are not making it up. They're not making Muhammad what he wasn't. They're doing what he asked them to do. There is one thing that Muhammad would have taken, the last Muhammad, the last version of this enormously complicated, psychotic individual, if he existed. he would have taken money. He was convinced by, like the mullahs around the Ayatollah are very similar to mafia captains. They're only interested in money. They have nothing to do with religion. They must have been around him for quite some time, because you see a shift if you read the Quran chronologically. Muhammad begins with just kill him or have him submit. And then he comes up with the idea of extortion money. They can pay us. But they can't practice their religion or any of that stuff. So that's what you've got in their heads. That's what they're serving. And then between Iran and the United States and Israel say, no nuclear anything. And Iran says, no, you can't tell us that. We have to be able to have peaceful use of nuclear power, even though they don't need it, given the energy they have, and also given the fact that they've used that for 30 years and lied. Oh, they could lie to us again if we were as stupid as prior administrations, but we're not supposed to be. So now, if you want to continue with this, you go over to X, 8 o'clock, America's Mayor Live, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here. God bless America.